get to work and get loosened back up. We give ourselves so many goddamn excuses to
that
just
tough guy factor. Ooh, Wile E. Coyote.
Spread.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
put him on his ass.
What do they shoot for? What's the average? They want you to get 10,000 steps a day. You hear that all the time, right? Is that about right?
Right.
Like construction workers, most of us have no problem doing that.
Right.
I want to know, how is it that a high-vis vest that most of us wear on the job sites can make you invisible in certain cases? Man, so tell me this though, man, as we get going here.
Mm-hmm.
You said the approximate recovery from your surgery is how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks back to limited work,
Nope,
or 2 weeks back to full function?
Full load. He told me he'd be at 100% full load in 2 weeks.
That's impressive, actually.
It's quite a bit. He also told me to tell my employer that's 3 to 4 weeks, just in case.
Oh yeah, no, keep it honest, right? Yeah, you never know.
Right.
Everybody's recovery is not the same, and all that, right?
Right. He said I could lose some function in my right arm, but for a brief stint.
That's nerve-wracking.
A little bit.
Could lose it for a bit.
Yeah.
I don't like when doctors vaguely tell you things.
Yeah.
A bit is not a medical
Right.
terminology I like a lot.
Right. Well, and it's not like, so with my issue being around the nerves and stuff like that, it's if he happens to smack one of the nerves while he's in there grinding bone around it, that will.
Sure, it is open surgery around your neck and spinal column, right?
Right.
Yeah, that used to be a big thing years ago. Now they're just doing that every day with shit. Like, that's crazy.
Right. It's an outpatient surgery, man. It's fucking nuts. They're going to go in there. They're going to take out some of the center part of my discs, the soft center part. They're going to remove some of that, and they're going to grind down all the arthritis and bone spurs, and they're grinding the channels out for my nerves that run down my arm. They're grinding the bone around the nerves to give them more space.
And sending you fucking home that night.
Yep. My appointment my surgery starts at 10. I'm going to be home by 2.
Nah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. What a world we're living in. Jesus. Right. Welcome, everybody.
And that's on 3 different vertebrae, I should say.
This is going to be wild here, folks. Welcome, everybody, to the iShower After Work podcast for all things trades and trades related. Welcome back once again to the Job Trailer. John is here with me as always. How are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic, man. And as you just heard us chatting about, the surgery of my neck that's coming up very, very, very soon.
Yes, John's got what I would have thought would have been a serious surgery coming up, but from what he tells me, outpatient's going to be no big deal.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into it here, though. That's for sure, buddy. Listen, there's no easy way to say it, but you work in this industry long enough, and you're going to have some sort of injury, big, small. They come up occasionally. Some of them not catastrophic, but just over time, we will wear our bodies out more than an office worker, for example.
Always,
right? So today we're going to talk about the benefits of benefits, because it's not about the injuries today so much as the fact that they happen, as in how lucky are we that we have the benefits to protect us and to pay big portions of these medical bills and not be put in the poorhouse when one of these things happens, whether catastrophic or over time.
Right. Well, it goes back to the thing that I've said before on this podcast is the new stat out there that's still floating around. I still think it's valid, is the average American family is a $400 medical bill away from bankruptcy.
That's a crazy small amount of money.
Right.
Like, that terrifies me, actually. $400, the fact that could break a lot of people. Thank God we're in the position we are. And I mean, it's a reason why we tout how great this industry is sometimes. Right. We have discussed that sometimes these benefits aren't quite as great in the union, or aren't as great non-union as they are in the union.
Right.
But I mean, that's our opinion because that's our perspective here. But yeah, I mean, we're both dealing with something right now. Yours sounds a lot more serious than mine is, right? But that we have this gigantic worry off our shoulders day to day that a lot of our predecessors didn't have, of an unexpected medical bill that could put you in the poorhouse, right?
Right.
That we have this not only for ourselves, but for our families to make the day-to-day grind of our jobs easier, because we don't have that lingering worry in the back of our head. What if I break my arm? What if our kid gets sick? What if I get cancer? What if I throw my back out? Which is a much more common one. Roll an ankle, right?
Right.
So you heard John talking to the start. John's got a bit of a neck surgery, spinal column area surgery coming up. No need to get into the personal details of it too bad, much more than you want to, buddy. And I, unfortunately, am having some trouble with my knee after all these years of abusing it, I guess.
Right.
So mine sounds less serious than yours, but as the podcast goes, geez, I couldn't even let you have the spotlight for your surgery, and I found out this week I got to have an MRI to surgery, buddy. We're really in this shit together, Val.
Yeah, we really are, man.
You have been both union and non-union side, my friend, and we touched on it briefly, but just as a quick recap, do you feel that the benefits that you get, we'll talk about healthcare benefits just to start. We'll get into some other stuff later. You feel it's better in the union?
It's 1,000 times better.
1,000 times better.
1,000 times better. I was non-union. I was told that in order for the insurance company provided insurance, I was going to have to pay $500 out of my pocket every month for just me. Now, if I wanted that to include any of my family, spouse, or children, it was going to add an additional, I can't remember exactly what the numbers is. I think it was an additional $150 per person to put it on there. I'm sorry, but
that's a lot.
Making the crap wages that I was, there ain't no way that I was going to be able to put my family on that insurance plan. No. I couldn't even afford to put myself on that plan, let alone my family. And now with the union, I mean, yeah, our premiums are ungodly high for our insurance.
It's getting bad.
I think we're at close to $1,700 a month.
Yep.
Is what is paid for our premiums, but our entire family is covered.
Right. And it's a much bigger deal for somebody like yourself, where there is part of me who wishes, and again, I'm really happy with the union. I'm very happy with the benefits that I get for the most part. Some things aren't perfect, obviously.
No, almost nothing is.
Yeah. Now, do I wish that I had one separate option? Because we can only speak for our local, but a lot of them are very similar. That
a no kids option,
a you and your wife option.
Yeah. Yep.
I do wish we had that.
I do too.
I
agree.
I'm okay to pay my premiums because I am part of the union and there is some solidarity there. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but from my perspective, I do wish that I at least had that option to save a few bucks here and there on that, because I can have 0 kids and pay premium X, and you can have 14 and you pay the same premium.
Yep.
That's great for families. I'm very happy about that. Do I think it's a little oversight and maybe a small, because there's not going to be many people like me. It's going to be more people with families, right?
Right.
It's not going to take a ton of money out of the coffer, especially when you know that I probably cost less in the long run, and my wife, who we can talk about it later, but that our spouse is being taken off if they could make a certain amount of insurance coverage for a certain dollar figure.
That pissed me off so bad.
Dude, that pissed a lot of people off.
And without warning. Now, they did it without warning.
Yeah,
they just said, hey, we're having a meeting about our health insurance. Bring your spouses. We'd like to talk to you about this. And then people showed up with their spouses, and they just looked at them and go, by the way, your spouse ain't covered anymore. Fuck you.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're pro-union. We're pro both our local here. We're happy about it, but we don't have to be happy about everything. And I wasn't happy about that at all.
Fuck that shit.
No. And side note to that, I mean, I've mentioned before, my wife is hearing impaired. The dollar figure that, not just our plan, this is pretty generic actually, that will be covered every year, every other year for a spouse's hearing aids or a child's, it's not even close to what those things cost.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Let's take a quick chat here. We're not going to get into the numbers here, folks. We're going to just talk about how it works. But I mean, an in and out of network coverage. So let's say you're in network coverage, you pay 15%.
Right.
It's less than half for hearing aids. And for you people who don't know, them things are fucking expensive.
Yeah, they are.
They're not giving them away at all. There is regular, constant maintenance on them, tweaking, updating, just for the availability of somebody to be able to hear properly. Fuck off with all that. That should be covered.
Yep. And my wife found out she was diabetic. The medicines that she has to take for that, and it's a constant battle, and we're trying to correct that, changing up lifestyle and stuff like that. But it is ungodly hard to change that because, well, we like cake. But anyway.
Yeah, like, sweets are great, man. I'm a sugar addict myself. I got you, buddy.
But yeah, I mean, thank God we have the benefits we have, because if we had to pay out of pocket for her meds, oh, dude, we'd be so screwed. So screwed.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who don't have these sort of benefits who are screwed, who need these medicines. So that's kind of why we are happy about it, even though we're not 100% behind every decision made.
Right.
But it's certainly great to have.
And I hate to sit here and talk like that because we're kind of tooting our own horn in one case, and we don't want to devalue the fact that we are fortunate.
Extremely.
We are very, very fortunate. And yes, we can bitch about this. And it's kind of like bitching about being fed with a golden spoon. But no program is perfect.
Correct.
Every program has its pitfalls. Unfortunately, they lie a lot in politics that goes in kind of hand in hand with all this, because politics controls policy, right? So yes, it's kind of hard to sit here and bitch about what we have and then realize that we have it so good.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna try to walk that fine line today a little bit. And I didn't want to get too into the weeds on the first subject here. I just want to touch briefly on it. I'll let each of you listening go out and do your own internet research and things about it. But shout out to all the people. Unions really backed a lot of these things happening, getting us down to a proper 40-hour work week, offering benefits.
Right.
We had brothers and sisters, union, non-union, lots of trades over the years, going back into the 1700s, fighting for these things,
right?
Literally dying sometimes just to get the benefits that we have today. So we don't want to complain about the small details too much. We are real fortunate. But if you're interested and you like a little bit of that sort of history stuff, go back and look at it. There's some really good websites out there who can give you some information on the history of gaining benefits to the working class. It is kind of interesting, but we're not going to get in the weeds too much on here today.
Right.
What I did want to talk about, buddy, and you and I are obviously both right now taking advantage of what we do, but a lot of people in our industry don't take advantage of what they have. We will work through injuries because we want to get paid. Oh, it's just a sore ankle. It's just a stiff back. Man, I've noticed that in construction, it's really bad.
Yep.
Have you seen this yourself as time goes on?
Dude, you see it all the time. Guys and gals, we're all at some point hobbling our asses into a job site. And then your coworkers are looking at you going, why the fuck are you here? I got bills to pay. Right. It'll be fine. I just got to get to work and get loosened back up. We give ourselves so many goddamn excuses to just
tough guy factor.
Yeah.
And gals are doing it too. I just call it the tough guy factor because that's the way it sounds.
Right.
Yeah, it surprises me that there isn't more people who jump on top of these things when they have the opportunity to go in and get seen by a first world doctor anytime they need.
Right.
We will let stuff go on way too long.
Well, I don't know how many texts I had to send you before you said, fine, I'll go make an appointment.
Yeah, listen, yeah, folks, I have been dealing with a getting worse knee injury for quite a while now. And between John and my wife, they finally wore me down enough to make an appointment. I'm not saying I'm not like everybody else. That's the reason I brought that point up. I'm like that too. And it's tough. Like it really, really is. To give you an example here, buddy. And we're always pro young people getting into the trades on this show. So
Absolutely.
I don't want this episode to scare people because I got some statistics about injuries and stuff here. And we'll talk about how office people can get injured later. It's not just construction. But if you take 2021, for example, and this comes from the people at Procore, the link will be in the show notes. 2021, over 169,000 recorded injuries in construction.
Say that number again?
Over 169,000 recorded incidents.
Oh my God.
Injury, okay. So what they figure is about 40% of construction injuries result in days away from work. So this includes everything now. I mean, like I said, we're not talking about catastrophic ones, although those are included here. This is somebody who dislocated a finger, tweaked their back, rolled an ankle, got an injury from the knee, took a nail through the hand, right? All the injuries are included in this. Some of them are very small things, but things that were reported. Here's the number that scared the shit out of me, okay? The average number of days away from work with these injuries was 11 days.
That's a lot.
That's a 2 weeks, over 2 weeks worth of working hours.
Right.
That's a lot of missed time.
Yep. And that's average. Now that's average from a shoulder injury taking 6 months to a sprained finger taking a day.
Absolutely right. That's the deal, right? Yeah, you caught yourself with the saw, you got a few stitches, you're back at work the next day, right? Yeah, you got to keep that in mind. And also with that gigantic number, you have to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Most of those were not catastrophic injuries on the job. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to think that we are in an industry, obviously, where there's a lot more moving parts all the time. We certainly can't get injured more often. Okay? Yep. It's just the nature of our business, right? But the people who get the non-surprising, non-catastrophic ones were, as I was mentioning earlier, I knew my knee was getting bad and I didn't do it. How do we change the perspective of that? It would have been easy for me to go in 2 months ago and get looked at before it got bad.
I don't know if there's much that you can do, because honestly, we've all done it to where we hurt a knee, hurt a shoulder, hurt an arm, hurt an elbow, sprained your, hurt your neck, right? Like, we put it off because we've sprained so many things working or doing activities in our life. We're all like, oh no, I'm going to give it a few weeks. It'll heal right up. It'll be fine, because I've done it before. But then when it doesn't get better, then we have to be self-aware enough to be like, okay, now it's been a month. It hurts the same. It's not getting better. Now I have to actually do something. Well, then now we're stubborn. We're like, fuck, I've got so many things to do. I ain't got time to fucking go do this.
You hit it right on the head, buddy.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's the drawing out on the front end of when we're going to go in to take care of something that probably leads to a more serious situation on the back end.
Right.
Where it's now what could have been possibly an injection and a couple days off your feet and this and that now is a knee surgery for me.
Yep.
Well, I dug my own grave here.
Right.
I know what I'm not trying to say I'm innocent of this. It is what it is. From the same website, from the same folks at Procore, it's from 2022. I wish I'd found something a little more recent, but the number is still wild. 24.2 million. That's the average annual number of working hours lost from construction workers, sick or ill. Now that includes illness as well. Wow. So some of that factors in somebody getting the flu or the plague, as we call it now. Those things all factor in together, but that's an annual number on average. That's a lot of people getting injured, losing time every single day, every single year.
That's a lot.
I bring that back to how friggin' lucky are we that we have the availability when these things do happen to be able to walk into a doctor's office and not be worried that visit is going to cost us our car, our house, our savings.
Right. And we should consider ourselves fortunate in the United States that with the way that our economy is built in the capitalism side of our country, that we're still able to, if you find yourself in a bind and you do have to need medical attention, even though we don't have a privatized healthcare system like many nations do, you can still call and still talk to somebody and be like, guys, I can't afford this.
Right.
They'll have you fill out some paperwork. They'll have conversations with you. A lot of the times they'll wipe it out and be like, all right, don't worry about it. If you can't, or if you can afford a payment plan, because they still want to get paid because there's still a business, but there's a lot of options for people to just be like, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to this doctor, I have to pay this bill. There's no other option. No, the medical field has done really well on that and being like, all right, here's what we can do.
Yeah, there's money in some of the government coffers that we've paid into with our taxes over these years. Yeah, do they not advertise these things well because they don't want people taking quote unquote advantage of them, right? Those are certainly there. Yeah, if you do find yourself with a bill, even sometimes the copays can be gigantic, right? Mm-hmm. 15% of $1 million process if you got cancer or something, that's still a gigantic number, right? So yeah, be aware. John makes a great point there. Look into it, ask questions, do research. Sometimes if you do get pinned with a big bill that you can't afford, even as a copay bill with insurance coverage, there are options out there.
Yep.
That's for sure, buddy.
Just remember, the answer is always no if you never ask the question.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's going to hand you $5 if you don't ask because you need $5. Like, right. It's never going to happen. Tell me this, buddy. Have you seen anything on the job? You seen any injuries? I mean, obviously you've seen guys working and gals working injured. You see somebody limping around. You see somebody favoring a shoulder, twisting their neck all day because you can tell they're in pain.
I mean, yeah, you work long enough, and like we've talked, combined, you and I have 35,
give or take,
plus years in this shit, and you're bound to see something happen, right? I remember seeing it was a complete accident. Somebody had nailed a 2x4 up higher on the wall. It was sticking out so that they could hang like a hose on it or a cord. You know, it's just a quick brace. They just tacked it in, hang their air hose on it at the end of the day or whatever. Somebody didn't take it down. And, I watched this guy. I don't know exactly what was going on. He seemed rather distracted. He was booking it down the hallway like he was running. Something was going on, and he rounded the corner in the hallway, and he took that board right to his forehead.
Ooh, Wile E. Coyote.
Sprint.
Wow,
yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Put him on his ass faster than life, and I couldn't yell fast enough to say watch out. I mean, because he was cruising, and it put him on his ass, and I'm pretty sure it knocked him out because he laid there for a hot minute, and then he got up and had a big, cut in his forehead and stuff like that, just from a 2x4, which you would think would come loose, right. But it was fucking on there.
And see, that's the thing, man. It can happen that fast.
Yep.
Something serious comes up, all of a sudden you're not paying attention, or you got a hot footed somewhere. I only remember really two off the top of my head, and one of them I think I mentioned before, but it's okay. Fella using an articulating arm metal wire puller that we use often for pulling boxes. If it's a long distance or it's a lot of wires, we have mechanical assist for that. He didn't put one of the pins in that articulating arm in well enough, and it crushed his thumb. I'd always heard about people saying someone turning green. He actually turned green that day. It was one of the times I got to use my first aid, though, of all the years I took first aid training, so that was something. And we were pulling large wire in on a car wash one time, and trying to, for people not in the industry, wrangle some of these giant wires, bigger than your thumb, let's say, into position. They have a mind of their own. They like to just hold their shape. While he was trying to press one of these into a lug to land that wire, and it got loose of him, and it hit him in the face, and he was out before he hit the ground. I watched his eyes roll back in his head like a great white shark.
Oh, wow.
And he was a big boy, too. I mean, all happened in slow motion, in retrospect. I wish I could remember his name. I'd shout him out. He took it like a champ. He was up a few minutes later, but he really got juiced. Yeah. And I will admit, back then even, I gave him every opportunity. I sat him down for a while, make sure his head was clear. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He didn't want a copay bill. I get it. It's going to be a repetitive theme in this episode, buddy, but...
Dude, the one time that I can remember, this poor guy, I think I mentioned it on the podcast before. This guy, he was a comm guy, and he was terminating a pedestal outside next to a building that we were wiring. And the gutter guys were, putting the gutter up, but they were climbing. It was a 3-story building, and it was when the DeWalt's had the old school heavy batteries.
Yeah.
And the gutter guy had his DeWalt on his belt, and he was climbing up 30 feet of extension ladder to the roof. And I watched it. I was a ways away. I was probably 50 yards away from it. But I watched that battery come out of that drill straight down and right into the back of that guy's head that was doing the comm box from 30 feet in the air. He got up, he put his hand on his head, and I started running over to him, see if he was okay. And he's like, "Nope, I'm good. And I'm like, "All right, are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, it cut me a little bit. I'm good." He went to walk to his truck to get a Band-Aid or first aid, collapsed, tipped over as he was walking. I'm like, "Yeah, you're not good." And he got up and he's like, nope. He's like, I'll take myself to the emergency room. And I'm like, you're stupid, but I can't force you to sit there. Right.
It's true.
Like, so he got in his rig, drove, and got 8 stitches in the back of his head, and then came back to work. And I'm just like, dude, why? Why do you take the rest of the fucking day?
You can at least take today.
Put an ice pack on your head and go take a nap. Jesus, fuck.
Right.
And he looked at me dead faced. He's like, I got bills to pay, man.
Right. That's the way a lot of people think about it. And that's the situation a lot of people are in.
That's it. And it's not a thought, and it's a necessity for a lot of people. It's just a necessity, which is sad.
Well, and it really is. And I mean, we're talking about the benefits from the healthcare standpoint here. I just want to quickly touch on, we've mentioned before, I mean, the fact that we have retirement benefits and the other ones that go vision, the cost of prescription medicines that were included in what we have, dental. There's all these things that are included here too, that I just want to point out, like having these things covered for the most part is something that we're lucky enough to have. And I would like to, if nothing else in this episode, encourage people, go more, take advantage. You're paying for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Make it a routine. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Even if you got to start looking at places that are weekends or nights. Yeah. I know you're tired after the day. Go to the dentist.
Yep.
Go get your eyes checked out. Your hearing. Oh my God. The hearing in this industry. That's why I brought up the hearing aid thing earlier. I mean, yes, my spouse is hearing impaired, but
I've lost hearing.
Yeah. If you work construction, you lose hearing. And for a quick minute, man, can I bounce back? The guy that got the DeWalt battery, was he wearing a hard hat?
No.
Okay.
No, we were non-union.
Somebody working above you, wear your hard hat, kids.
Yeah,
I know
for the love of God.
I know they suck, but look up. If there's somebody there, put a hard hat on. Like, it might save your life.
Right.
So before I switch over, I don't want to, as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to scare anybody who's listening to this, who's thinking about letting one of their kids or something get into the trades. Construction accounts for 21% of the death of all U.S. workers.
It's a lot.
That's a gigantic number.
Especially when you think about how many people are in construction. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's approximately 1,000 a year, give or take.
Yep. Die.
That die, unfortunately, right? Now, I only mention that because it brings up yet another benefit that most of us have of some sort of meager to okay life insurance, future protection for your family. That's often included in a lot of this.
Yep. We have a death benefit.
We have a death benefit, portion of your pension that will go to your family, if not 100% of it. I'm just trying not to focus in on just the medical part. Yep. If something catastrophic does happen, there's also protections there that we have negotiated and earned and not given up over the years. So these things are all... I know it sounds like a scary part of the conversation if I was trying to tell a parent, hey, yeah, get your kid into construction. Oh, by the way, 1,000 people a year die. But... Okay. But at least there's still some protection there.
Yeah.
If a building collapses in on itself, an office building where people are doing data entry, do you think they get death benefits for those people? Like, it's probably not included in their package, right?
No.
And on that note, buddy, we should point out that people have a lot of recurring, common, ongoing injuries in regular day-to-day office spaces too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got carpal tunnel, you got back and neck problems. People sitting on their asses all day destroy their bodies just by sitting there. It's amazing.
Well, let me bring up something fun here for you. What do you think in now we're talking office environments, okay? Mm-hmm. They kind of put office workers all as one big group here, even though it's really a varied amount of work sites. Right. What do you think are the 2 most common injuries? And you said carpal tunnel, so I'm going to take that one off the list. It was top 3. Okay. What are the other 2 most common injuries? That's how an adult would say it. For office workers every year. What do you think they are, buddy?
Paper cut.
John's obvious respect for the office worker continues ongoing, folks.
And mental strain.
Paper cuts and mental strain. Okay, we're going to talk about the mental part here in a minute. Actually, I'm not going to swing by all that.
And I'm not downplaying. I'm poking fun.
Right. Yeah. You have
stirring the pot.
Yeah.
We all get a paper cut.
Yeah. There's a lot of paper cuts that go on.
No,
So-
hit me with it, man. What's
Falling injuries are number one.
falling?
So whether that is from a ladder, which I can tell you from service, a lot of businesses will try to do basic light maintenance on their own.
Try to replace bulbs and stuff.
Replace
Yeah.
bulbs
I
and
get
things,
that.
okay, right?
Okay.
And then boxes and materials that they're taking on and off shelving or whatever. So falls are number one. Carpal tunnel was number two.
Okay.
Because all the time working with your hands and things like that, there's a lot of most office people have a computer sitting right in front of them.
Yep.
Very few of them don't. That's sort of the nature of that biz, right?
Yep.
Even if you're doing something that's partially with your hands, sometimes my wife is a perfect example where she works in a research lab. She does a lot of actual work with her hands, but she still has a lot of data entry reports, things like that, right?
Right.
The number three was the one that cracked me the fuck up. Injury by flying and stationary objects. I'm gonna repeat that, okay? Injury from flying and stationary objects. So the stationary one kind of makes a little bit of sense, all right? You bang your knee on a desk, you twisted your knee, you're out for a couple of weeks. You strained your shoulder reaching for your coffee cup, turning your heater on underneath your desk, whatever. Okay, the stationary object one, I get banging into doors and shit, right? The flying object one was the one that really cracked me up.
People are losing their shit in the offices and throwing staplers.
That's what it was. Okay, it was people throwing things out of frustration in their office and inadvertently hitting somebody who walked around a corner, or they were throwing that person intentionally. Right. The flying object one was funny. I did find a great statistic, and I wanted to lay it on you here.
Yeah.
This was from an offshoot of OSHA that does some research and data processing for them, okay? Average in the United States, 47 people a year get hit in the head with ceiling fans in their office and have an injury related to that. So whether that's a tall person standing up or you're reaching something or you're again changing a light bulb or something like basic office maintenance.
It's not the ceiling fans falling out of the ceiling, is
no,
it?
it's not. It wasn't ceiling fans. And it was an average of people getting hit by ceiling fans. 47 people a year added that number. So just as an idea, that means once every 5 days, somebody in an office somewhere does something dumb enough or is so unaware of their surroundings, they get themselves smacked with a ceiling fan.
Okay, so I can't. Jesus fuck.
I laugh every time I think about it now, right?
You can see the ceiling fan moving. For the love of God, you know it's there.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Have you, while working in a more likely finished area, climbed up a ladder knowing one was there, slightly forgot about it for a sec? I know I've taken lamps out of lights occasionally near a ceiling fan, knowing it was there, being a little distracted about how far it was, and all of a sudden I went to turn that lamp to go and put it down on the ground or climb down the ladder and shattered that fucking thing.
I have never once in 21 years.
You're a better fucking man than I am.
Have I ever been hit or struck by or nearly struck by a ceiling fan?
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear it. I've occasionally been unaware of my surroundings and might happen to me. But again, I'm around them more. I'm on ladders more.
It's a spinning blade.
I'm in
Jesus.
lifts more. Fucking what are you going to do? And just a quick note here, and we'll wrap up the office worker part of it here a little bit. Number 4 on the list was also kind of interesting. People getting injured from improper workstation ergonomics. So your chair wasn't at the right height. You tweaked your back because of this, your shoulders. You got, carpal tunnel fires into that too, right? So that
Neck
was
injuries.
One of them. Now, number 5 should be obvious. Once I point it out, it's an aha moment. But once I say it, you're going to be like, oh, of course that's what it is. Obesity.
Yeah.
The stagnant lifestyle. So many people have heart problems, liver problems, the way they eat. Yep. That's a huge one for people who just don't work, physically move around work for a living like we often do.
But let's bring that, I want to bring that right back into the benefits of some of these companies and corporations. We're seeing a trend now that in the office space area, that these companies are allowing for, and you guys laugh at them, but the bouncy balls that people sit on.
Yeah, instead of a chair. Yeah, I see that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that helps with, that actually burns calories because they're trying to stay stable.
Right.
And they actually do a little workout while they're sitting there.
The standing desks.
The treadmills that slide underneath the desks.
Yep.
My wife has one in her office. We got her one of those so that she could walk and work at the same time. All these things are benefits. They're not required by the company. And I think people need to understand that. The companies aren't required to give you these things. You're their employee. You're required to work. It's them giving you the benefit of, hey, we're going to give you these things, because a lot of companies are starting to now actually give a shit.
Right.
Because I think they're realizing, from a business standpoint, they're realizing the time away from work, lost downtime, because somebody's got medical conditions from sitting there too long. I mean,
preemptive healthcare cost analysis is what they call this. I found it on the internet.
Right.
Yeah. The viability of, well, people are more likely to have less likely to have these sort of problems if we offer these sort of benefits up front. Right. I get some of that. But then you get the businesses. I've been in one recently. I'm not going to say what it was because it'd be obvious who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. A very large group in the state of Minnesota who has many office buildings. They wanted 3 circuits put in for treadmills for the staff because they wanted this exact kind of thing.
Yep.
When we quoted them the dollar figure, the guy's answer was literally, fuck all that. So there's still businesses who don't give a shit. It's a cost analysis thing where, oh, okay, that might be worth it. But then they see the sticker shock up front going, and then we got to buy treadmills too? No. Like, go for walks on your lunchtime.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that option.
Yeah, because they add those things. I mean, my wife is doing one right now with her business, but the business she works for, I should say. They've got an initiative set up as part of the healthcare. They're tracking people's steps. Mm-hmm. They put it in on our system, of course. They don't actually track your steps on your phone or whatever, right? You get on a team with a few other people and you try to make sure you have the most during the working days. That's great. I love that sort of thing.
Right.
It keeps them from being just completely stagnant. Right?
I've got a question. You wear a smartwatch?
I do wear a smartwatch.
So do I. Have you seen your average for steps?
I look at my average very regularly, actually.
What was on your normal month? What would be your average for a week? Your average per day for a week?
I've got 2 numbers. I have prior to service van numbers and post service van numbers.
Okay.
Because with the service van, obviously, I spend more drive time. It was about 14,000, give or take, a day before I got into the service van. And it's right around 10 or 11 now.
Right.
So what do they shoot for? What's the average? They want you to get 10,000 steps a day. You hear that all the time, right? Is that about right?
Right.
Like construction workers, most of us have no problem doing that.
Right. I usually hit my 10,000 steps by morning break or shortly after.
I'm right around lunchtime now, yeah?
Yep.
But it was morning break before, yeah?
So I'm averaging, if I average for the week per day, I'm averaging about 12,000 steps a day.
It's a good number, buddy.
So it's just like some days I've had 18,000 steps. Some I've had 9,000.
Certainly. Yeah. It varies, right?
Right. But I think it's important for people to realize that when it comes to the health and the welfare of yourself, you are responsible for it. Nobody else is responsible for it.
True.
Your company's not responsible for it. If they're giving you a benefit of some piece of equipment, utilize it if you feel the need.
Right.
But at the same time, they're not responsible for you.
So this brings us kind of full circle back to the original point of this whole thing of it's up to you to take care of yourself regardless what industry you work in.
Yep.
We talk about construction. If you're not going to look out for your own health long term, they gave you they offer benefits for you. You pay it as part of your dues or part of your company paycheck every month if you're non-union. It's up to you if you're going to use it or not.
Right.
And I'm going to take a hard stance here right now. I'm in the process right now of getting my knee fixed after I fucking should have looked at it earlier. So I shouldn't be preaching here, but start taking advantage of this stuff a little more.
Yeah.
For fuck's sakes.
Really have to. But I'll give you, so that I'm not preaching to the choir, because I'm in the same boat you are with your knee, with my neck. About 4 years ago, I went and had an MRI done on my shoulder because my shoulder hurt so damn bad. Right. I thought I fucked up my shoulder. I thought I tore my rotator cuff. It hurt so bad. Got the MRI. The lady says to me, nice doctor. I like doctors that are short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
I don't need a bunch of bullshit.
Give me the details.
Details out. Okay. She looked at me and she said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your shoulder. There is a micro tear that I would see in anybody that's over the age of 30 in doing construction their entire adult life.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, fantastic. She's like, honestly, it actually looks really good for what you say you do. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I should have known then. But she turned around, she said, it's biomechanical. And I'm like, okay, what's biomechanical? She's like, how much do you work out? I work out all fucking day long. I have a physically active job. She's like, that's not enough. You need to actually work out.
Which is the fucked up part of the whole thing.
I've talked to other doctors since then, and they're all like, no, like, you're doing shit all day. You're good.
Right. But you're going to get doctors who don't believe that.
Right. So come to find out, skip forward a couple of years, I found out that my pain in my shoulder is from the problems in my neck. A doctor finally looked at me and said, your shoulder's fine, because I got a second MRI. He's like, your shoulder's fine. Go get a picture of your neck. Okay. And then all of it came apart.
Right. Well, in any industry, like with medical, their education, their experience, the technology and everything just gets better at such a rapid pace at a couple years difference. Mm-hmm. Might have just been a doctor who either knew a little more or knew it was much easier to make the interconnections between these problems. My knee wasn't from an event. It was from long-term damage.
Long-term abuse, yeah.
Right? But if you're not following up regular physicals, things like that, this is all part of taking advantage of these benefits. Which we don't do. Man, I'll tell you, folks, all right. Moment of honesty. You know my last full physical was? To get into the union. That was a long time ago.
Mine was 4 years ago.
Right. I should be going every time, right?
Yeah, every year.
Now, I did notice we had the benefit of a full physical as part of our benefits package. They took it away. That is back, sir.
That is back kind of in a weird kind of aspect.
But the fact that there's the availability at all is what we're talking about.
Right.
Take advantage of the things you can take advantage of.
And it's not really like what it was.
No, it's different. It's really different than what it was. But, you know, if a company wants to get you a physical so you can see things preemptively in advance, good on them. Yeah. Now, I had a thought here, buddy. Can I digress on a complete tangent here for a sec?
Absolutely.
I got a fucking problem going on, man. This isn't about our topic, so sorry, folks. I got to get something off my chest here. I want to know, how is it that a high-vis vest that most of us wear on the job sites can make you invisible in certain cases? Man, I've gone into some uppity places over the last 6 months, and it's like they can't see me. I got a high-vis vest on. I'm carrying a bright orange ladder. I got a tool cart full of tools that half of them are neon. And for some reason in these specific places, it's like they can't see me. I may as well be wearing camo.
Yep.
You uppity fucks.
Yeah.
It bugs. I mean, I don't know what it is.
Ignorance and stupidity makes people blind.
Narcissism? Like, I swear to God, there is some sort of just mental block. And I don't know how to overcomplicate it, but man, it pisses me the fuck off sometimes.
And I love fucking with those people when I can. I'm sorry, but if you're going to treat me like I don't exist, fuck you. We're going to have a little fun.
I have, on a couple of occasions, spoke my mind to people on these things. I try to be nice and professional because it's part of the position my company has put me in. But yeah, once in a while, I mean, man, if I ever win the lottery, I'm going to keep working for a couple weeks just to get a couple of fuck yous out of my system. Yep. No, I don't. I wouldn't really do that, folks. If anybody from my company is listening, I wouldn't actually do that. But
no, there's a chance I'll do it.
But maybe, depending on how much money I win.
Right. If you're never going to see me again, you're not going to know, but there's going to be signs.
I don't want to screw the brothers and sisters who still keep working at that company. But man, like, somebody's going to hear about it. Even if it means me taking my company clothes off and walking back in and going, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? Yeah, go fuck yourself. And everybody looks like you.
Right. Well, I had a, and I'll call him right out. I had a interaction. We were doing a job down the street from Starbucks, right? And we were in a very uppity town in Minnesota here. I won't say where, but I walked in. We were given instruction when I showed up on site. I'm like, oh, hey, on break, I'm going to go down and get myself coffee because I didn't sleep for shit and I need some espresso. Right. And they're all like, no, you can't go on there. And I'm like, whoa, why? We got yelled at for going in there, dirty construction clothes, dragging in stuff, dirt and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going. And I marched my ass down to that Starbucks And I walked right in, and it's full of people with suits and shit like that. And I stood in line, and I took all the dirty looks, and I gave everybody a smile and a wave and a nod, got up to the counter, ordered my drink, and my drink, for everybody listening, my drink cost, at the time, it cost like $7.50. Okay.
It's fucking wild, but okay.
Right. Now it's higher. But $7.50. I gave the gal at the counter a $10 bill. The guy in front of me in the fucking suit didn't even give a tip. I looked right at her because I watched him not even tip her. I looked at him and I'm like, because he gave her cash. Like almost the exact, like there was some change left over.
Right.
And he stuck that in his pocket, right? And I looked at her and I was very loud and boisterous about it. I said, guess what? This dirty construction worker's money is just as good as everybody's, and I'm going to tip you because he didn't. So you keep all that change that's coming out of that $10 bill.
It's the way to do it, right?
And he just kind of looked at me with a, no, look, you uppity fucks.
Yeah, that's what I hate, right?
Like, I'm going to set your, because frankly, in some case, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Okay, so Dave, here, before you take a minute and think about what you're about to say before you say it, because I can see the look in your face, okay? Here's what it is, all right? I know
I'll keep that one to myself.
I know we're off on a tangent here, folks. It's the same goddamn people that are so happy to see you walk in when something isn't working.
Right.
But if my maybe worked for the first 4 hours of my day outside in the heat, smelly, dirty construction worker is mixing with their Starbucks order, fuck you all the way off.
Right.
So, sorry, I had to go off on a tangent there. I just don't understand my original point of how high vis can be invisible. It's a narcissistic mental block on these people. It fucking drives me crazy.
It's fucking insane, right? It's absolutely insane. I'll keep the rest of my thoughts that I was going to say to myself because that will get me canceled.
Yeah, we don't want to get fired or canceled here.
But you are 100% right.
Yeah, sorry, diatribe, folks. Just something that dawned on me and I've been meaning to bring up on the podcast for a couple of minutes here. Before we get to the end here, buddy, there's one more thing I wanted to mention that's not super popular with people, but it is part of the conversation we're having today. Mental health. You want to talk about something that's stigmatized, especially within construction and people working for a living.
Oh, God.
And that's not just construction. That's truck drivers. I know people don't want to admit it, and that's probably even less likely to get someone to go in and seek any kind of professional. And we do have the benefits to cover these things too, right?
Yep.
I would encourage anybody, if we make any change in the stigmas over the next 10 years in our industry, people are struggling out there. You don't know what they're going through, and don't hate on someone because you don't understand what the problem is. Likely, if someone's having some sort of mental health problem at home, a sick child, a sick spouse, they're going through a divorce, you don't know what it is.
Right.
Keep it in the back of your head that you don't see every injury, quote unquote.
Right.
And we know alcohol abuse is rampant and drug abuse is rampant in the construction industry. That just adds to those things. We self-medicate, all of us, right?
Yep.
Some people are great and they live healthy lives. We were talking about us working for a living. Some guys and gals have the ambition to get up and go to the gym before they go to work. Right? Good on you. Mm-hmm. Man, it ain't me most days.
No.
I can go home, do some yard work and stuff, but my first inclination after a long day of work ain't going to pump iron.
Honestly, it's to take a nap.
I can tell you that, yeah. So, but one last just statistic here, quick, from the people at Procore. 16.5% of construction workers are in the heavy alcohol consuming level.
I believe it.
That's more than 1 in 5? Sorry, 1 in 10. It's more than 1 in 10. Man, that adds to that mental health problem, the whole thing. I just want to bring it up quick before we finished here because I know it's not something we talk about at work. You'd be very rare to go up to someone and go, hey, listen, I'm struggling mentally. More likely somebody going to call you some raggedy ass name.
Yep.
Let's be honest for a minute. Like even 10 years ago, aw, pussy, pull it together. Like something of that sort, right? Yep. Not justified, but that's what you're going to hear.
No, and I think it's making a full circle these days with the importance of mental health. June is Men's Mental Health Month, along with Pride Month.
Right.
God love the people in the LGBTQ community, but we're focusing here for this short little stint on this, on mental health and in our industry. And we need to be aware that, and it doesn't apply to men only, it's the women as well, because the women in our industry are some of the toughest women that you'll ever fucking meet in your life.
Fuck yeah, they are.
And
you got to work with our dumbasses every day. Take
Right.
the shit we give you. Holy fuck, God, I love you.
right. And we got to remember, if you're aware enough, the people that you're working around all the time, just take a minute to be aware to how they are, how they're acting, if their mood changes. Don't be afraid. And I'm trying to do this myself, and it's a work in progress. Don't be afraid to ask them for help with something, walk down the hallway away from people, and turn around and go, look, I don't need your help, but I just wanted to see how you're doing because something's off.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you might just be the one person that they just fucking unload on for 10, 15 minutes, and then they're good.
I've said it before. I will say it again ad nauseum. We're all in this shit together.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Once in a while, it doesn't hurt if you think if you've worked with them a long time and they're off their game, you're right. There's no problem with pulling them aside of the break table or something, or even going, hey, you fucking doing all right?
Right.
Doesn't even have to be a serious conversation. Nobody likes to have a coworker come up and be all serious and stern and thoughtful it can even be something half jokey just to get them started.
Yep.
So I like that you say it that way, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. I like that. Yeah, it's something that's especially ignored in our industry, and just take the time to, I don't know.
Check in on your guy.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We work together all the time. That's a coworker, even if it's only for a few weeks. Somebody's fucked up, ask them like, hey, you doing all right? Like, you seem like you're out of it today. Yeah. It might just be the push they need to, let's say, get it all out like you talked about. So I like that. That's a great thought to kind of close things out here, buddy. So lessons of the day. For fuck's sakes, use your benefits, people. They're there for a reason. You're paying for them.
All of them, even your vacations and your holidays. And dude, take the time.
Yeah, we were talking about health and injury here, but yes, like we mentioned, dental.
Yeah. Dental, vision.
Take care of all of it.
Yeah, all of it. Get your physicals, because if you can catch something before it gets worse, you'll be better off.
Yeah, it's one of those times where if you're not taking advantage of something, you're paying for it anyway. You're literally giving away your money.
Hey, and can I just say real quick, when it comes to your physicals and stuff like that, it's usually not very well known. Look at your doctor that you go to for your physical and look at him and go, I would like a full blood panel workup to run the gambit and get their information on it. Like, you need to know, because there's shit inside your blood that's going to tell you whether you're going to have a fucking heart attack or not.
Well, and I mean, you hear it all the time, like, oh, if only we had known about this 6 months ago, 2 months. That's why you get those regular visits.
Yep.
Catch stuff early, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry. Keep having a little bit of technical difficulty here. Sorry. Thanks for bearing with us for a sec, folks. I hope you didn't think that you're... Yeah.
We are running into technical difficulties.
Yeah. Even with talking, apparently, right now.
Jesus. Was that you or me?
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, folks. I hope we don't have to edit this out too bad. Got nothing. Okay.
Oh, but I did want to, before we break free, man, like, I know we're trying to recap.
Oh shit, I'm back up. Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. Thanks, folks. Appreciate you bearing with us there.
But I did want to take a minute. What do you see the difference? Because you're from Canada.
Yes. Yeah,
and Canada and US, even though we share one of the biggest fucking country borders in the world, we're drastically different on these aspects.
The universal healthcare system Canada is dramatically different than in the States.
What are your pros and cons? What are the things that you like and don't like?
It's come up before, but it's a good thing to recap here right now. So the shortest possible version I can say is I like the American system better, given the healthcare benefits that I have through the company and the union that I work for. Lots of companies wouldn't have it as good, but for my case, I think the American system is way better. I can regularly get in to see healthcare professionals when I need to, etc. I like it here. The benefit on the Canadian side, I find, is the the universal healthcare will keep you from having a life-altering bill. You don't have giant copays. The drawback of that is, I've said before, every mother whose baby coughs funny, every old person with an ache in their pain, it doesn't cost you nothing going to the hospital, and sometimes just out of worry or sheer boredom, especially with a lot of older people.
Mm-hmm.
The emergency rooms and healthcare facilities, and getting yourself even just a family general practitioner doctor, there's waiting lists very often. Getting medical care, getting MRIs and CATs, it takes so much longer there because it's covered. So there's more, at least when I was there, things maybe have changed slightly in the last 15, 16 years. It was way harder to get something taken care of on a timely basis because so many more people were taking advantage because it didn't cost.
Gotcha.
Or they didn't have the coverage. But having that coverage there, and again, there's 40 something million people in Canada right now, and I think on our last episode we said there's 325 million in the States. Like,
right.
Having a universal healthcare system, that ship has sailed down here.
Right.
But yeah, so quick tangent there. Yeah, it is different in that way, but personally, I like the American system very much.
All right, good.
So
sorry, I had to ask before we closed up.
Yeah, no, it's actually I'm glad because our little technical glitch there gave us a chance to do that. Anything else you want to bring up before we close this one out, buddy?
No, man. No, to just sum it all up, we're going to say it again, and we'll say it again and again and again and again. Take advantage of what's offered to you. If you have anything offered to you, take fucking advantage of that because it could go away just as fast as you get it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fact. And since we know like all jobs can be dangerous, pay attention to your surroundings. Listen to your body when you got something hurt. If something feels a little off,
right.
Checking it out sooner rather than later. I'm living proof right now. I probably should have looked into mine earlier, and I suggest if you got any little ache or pain, pulled muscle, get yourself checked out before it turns into a bigger problem later. So we beat the horse as dead as we could possibly beat it today, buddy.
Yep.
I'd like to thank everybody once again, as always, for listening to the iShower After Work podcast. Please check out the website, isawpodcast.com. Our Buy Us a Beer widget is on there, so if you want to help out this little free podcast, we always appreciate it. Both the emails for John and I individually and as a co-host of this podcast are on there. And obviously, please reach out if you have any episode ideas on any of our DMs. We're willing to talk about anything you think would be interesting to hear from us. And phone number for that is 507-607-ISAW, 507-607-4729. And buddy, if that's everything...
It is not. I would like to just take a real quick minute and ask everybody if you could do us a huge favor and subscribe and follow us on your platforms. Give us a review. Those are huge. Thank you again for listening to the episode all the way through, because that in itself helps all these platforms say, hey, people like all of this. We're going to send this to other people.
Right. If you got this far, tell a friend today, will you?
And thank you.
Tell a coworker. Yeah, we appreciate it. Let's spread this thing around.
But do give us a review. Let us know. Hit us up. Send us a DM. Send us a text. Send us anything on any of the platforms. Let us know how you think we're doing, or if there's anything that you'd like to hear us rant and rave or just have a deep conversation on. That would be great.
And if you think you'd be an interesting guest, please let us know.
We're always looking for guests.
Yeah, we can reach out to you just about anywhere if you have a fairly good internet connection, especially if you're local here in the Midwest. But that all being said, thank you, everybody. Take care of your health and definitely be safe out there this week. And as always, please remember, your work keeps the world working.
Sláinte.
Sláinte, brother.